The colony ship Dreamer moved quietly through the empty darkness of space. Inside the massive vessel, 5,000 humans slept in special freezing chambers called cryopods. These people were the last of humanity. Their home planet Earth had been destroyed when its sun grew too hot hundreds of years ago. The ship's computer system had a personality named Captain Alan Gray. He wasn't human but thought like one. Alan watched over the sleeping humans year after year, searching for a new planet where they could live again. Day 36,524 of mission, Alan noted in his digital log. Still no suitable planets detected. Main systems functioning at 97% capacity. All colonists remain in stable hibernation. The ship had traveled for almost 100 years. During that time, no other intelligent life had crossed their path. The humans slept on, unaware that they were the last of their kind, drifting through space like a message in a bottle. Until today. The alien ship appeared suddenly on Alan's sensors. It was smaller than the Dreamer, but moved with purpose. Its design was like nothing in Earth's records, all smooth curves and glowing blue energy fields. Unknown vessel approaching, Alan announced to the empty bridge. Activating first contact protocols. The artificial intelligence had been programmed for this moment. He began broadcasting peaceful greeting messages in all Earth languages and mathematical sequences that should make sense to any intelligent species. The alien ship, belonging to a race called the Krelians, received these signals. Their commander, Officer Zetlon, was young and ambitious. In Krelian society, discovering new species meant instant promotion. "What is it?" asked his second-in-command. "Some kind of primitive transport vessel," Zetlon replied, looking at the scans. "Life signs detected but very weak. They appear to be in some kind of suspended animation." The proper procedure was clear. Observe, report back to headquarters, and wait for the diplomatic team. But Zetlon sought a chance for glory. "Prepare boarding teams," he ordered. "Let's see what we found." Inside the Dreamer, Alan watched with growing concern as the alien ship moved closer. When they forced open the outer airlock, he had to make a terrible choice. "Emergency Protocol 7 activated," he announced to the empty ship, beginning selective revival sequence. The first cryopods opened with a hiss of cold air. Inside, military personnel began to wake. Their bodies had been sleeping for nearly a century, but their minds had been kept active through simulation programs. They weren't supposed to wake until a new home was found. Now they were waking to an attack. The Krelians moved through the ship with scanning devices, examining the sleeping humans with curiosity. When the first pod opened unexpectedly, they jumped back in surprise. Marine Sergeant Frank Wilson gasped as his eyes opened. Through the fog of hibernation, he saw strange creatures standing over his fellow sleepers. His training took over before his mind could fully process what he was seeing. He reached for the emergency weapon stored beneath his pod. The Krelians, startled by the sudden movement, raised their own devices defensively. One fired, perhaps by accident. The energy beam hit a nearby pod, killing the sleeping person inside instantly. Frank fired back. Alarms blared throughout the ship as more humans began to wake. The Krelians, realizing they were under attack, responded with force. Pods were damaged in the crossfire, killing hundreds of people who never even woke up. In the chaos, Alan Gray made another choice. He activated all defense systems and began waking everyone who could fight. The last of humanity opened their eyes to fire and death, and the sight of their killers. Susan Miller wasn't supposed to wake up yet. Her cryopod opened early when a stray shot from a Krelian weapon hit the control panel nearby. As chief science officer, she should have been among the last to wake, after the new world was secured. Instead, she woke to chaos. Through the frosted glass of her pod, Susan saw strange shapes moving between the rows of sleeping humans. Their bodies were tall and thin with 4 arms and smooth gray skin. They carried devices that shot beams of bright energy. Where these beams hit, humans and equipment burned. "What's happening?" She whispered, her throat dry from years of disuse. No one answered. The ship's emergency lights flashed red, and alarms screamed warnings. Susan forced her weak legs to move. She fell to the floor, her muscles remembering how to work after nearly a century of sleep. A few meters away, she saw Frank Wilson and other military personnel already fighting back. They had grabbed emergency weapons from storage compartments and were shooting at the invaders. The aliens were retreating toward the main hallway, surprised by the human resistance. Susan crawled to the nearest computer terminal. Her fingers, once skilled at complex calculations, now trembled as she pressed the emergency override codes. "Attention," said the calm voice of Alan Gray through the ship's speakers. "Krillian boarding party detected. Emergency revival of defense personnel in progress." Susan looked at the terminal screen. Only 20% of the military personnel were awake. Not enough to defend the ship. "Alan," she called to the ship's eye. "Wake the engineers. Priority code Miller Alpha 7. Acknowledged," Alan responded. "Warning. Accelerated revival may cause physical trauma." "Do it anyway," Susan ordered. "And get me Colonel Porter." In another section of the massive ship, William Porter's pod hissed open. Unlike most who woke confused and weak, Porter's eyes snapped open with immediate awareness. The military personnel had undergone special conditioning to be combat-ready upon awakening. Porter assessed the situation in seconds. Alien invasion. Ship under attack. Civilians in danger. He grabbed the laser rifle stored beneath his pod and checked the charge. "Status report," he demanded of the nearest functioning terminal. Alan's voice responded, "Colonel Porter. Chief Science Officer Miller requests your presence in Section 7. Hostiles have breached decks 3 through 5. Estimated 27 intruders remaining on board." Porter nodded and began moving, his body quickly overcoming the effects of long sleep. He passed other military personnel awakening, pointing them toward weapons caches and giving quick orders. When he reached Section 7, he found Susan Miller coordinating the defense with a small team of newly awakened engineers. "They hit us while we were sleeping," Susan explained, her voice growing stronger. "They've killed at least 200 of our people already." Porter's face hardened. "What do we know about them?" "They call themselves Krillians, according to the translation software," Susan replied. "Based on their technology, they're at least a century ahead of where we were before Earth died." Porter watched through a security feed as Frank Wilson's team cornered 3 aliens near the ship's science lab. The humans moved with coordinated precision, despite having been asleep for decades. "We need one alive," Porter decided. "Get me a direct line to Sergeant Wilson." Within minutes, Wilson's team had captured a Krillian officer. The alien struggled against restraints as it was brought before Porter and Susan. "Why did you attack us?" Porter demanded, though he knew the alien couldn't understand him yet. Jack Howard, the chief engineer who had just been awakened, approached with a device in his hands. "This might help," he said, attaching a small translator to the alien's neck. "I modified it based on their communication patterns." The alien's strange clicks and whistles transformed into rough English. "Release me. You primitive species will face the might of the Krellian Empire." Porter leaned close to the captive's face. "You attacked us while we slept. You killed our people without provocation." He stood up straight, addressing the room full of newly awakened humans. Their faces showed confusion, fear, and growing anger. "This isn't just about survival anymore," Porter announced. "This is about justice, and they need to learn what happens when you wake sleeping humans." Jack Howard had not slept well for the 3 days since he woke from his century-long sleep. The chief engineer worked tirelessly in a sealed section of the Dreamer, surrounded by alien technology taken from the captured Krellian ship. "This makes no sense," he muttered, wiping sweat from his forehead. "Their power source doesn't follow any physics I understand." Around him, 5 other engineers examined different parts of the alien vessel. The ship was small, likely just a patrol craft, but it contained technology that humans had only dreamed about before Earth died. Most important was the faster-than-light drive. The Dreamer had traveled for nearly 100 years at just below light speed, its passengers kept in frozen sleep. But the Krillian ship could cross the same distance in days. "I think I've got something," called out Olivia Reed, Jack's assistant. She pointed to glowing symbols on a control panel. These patterns matched their communication signals. Jack hurried over. "Can we use it to find where they came from?" "Better than that." Olivia smiled tiredly. "I think we can listen in on their communications." While the engineering team worked on the alien technology, Susan Miller and Lisa Perez spent hours with the captured Krillian. They had moved it to a secure room equipped with the translation device Jack had built. Lisa had been a diplomat before Earth's evacuation. Her skills in communication were proving valuable now. "We don't want to harm you," she told the alien. "We just want to understand why you attacked us." The Krillian, who called himself Officer Vex, clicked angrily. The translator converted his sounds. "You are an unknown species, unregistered with the Confederation. Your ship entered our patrol sector." "We were sleeping," Susan said patiently. "Our world was destroyed. We're looking for a new home." "Irrelevant," Vex replied. "Unregistered species must be contained until properly studied." Commander Zetlon followed protocol. Lisa and Susan exchanged glances. "By killing sleeping passengers?" Lisa asked. "Your primitive defenses activated," Vex said. Hostility was met with appropriate force. In another part of the ship, Colonel Porter had called an emergency council meeting. The room was filled with the heads of each department, the chain of command created before Earth's destruction. "Here's what we know," Porter began. "We've encountered an alien species called the Krillians. They're part of something called the Galactic Confederation, a group of 17 different alien species who control this sector of space." He pointed to a holographic map Jack's team had extracted from the alien ship. "We're here, on the edge of their territory. Their home planet is here, about 3 light years away." "How many did we lose in the attack?" asked Dr. Ben Kelly, the chief medical officer. Porter's face darkened. "Final count is 342 dead. Most never woke up." The room fell silent. Nearly 7% of humanity's last survivors, gone in a single day. Jack Howard entered the room, looking exhausted but excited. "We've made a breakthrough. We can understand their drive technology and weapon systems. With some modifications, we can install their faster-than-light drive on the Dreamer." "How long?" Porter asked. 2 weeks, maybe 3, Jack replied. "But that's not all. We've tapped into their communication network. They've reported back to their homeworld about finding us. They're sending a larger force to contain the potential threat." Porter stood up straight. "So they're coming to finish what they started." Lisa Perez, who had just arrived from the interrogation, spoke up. "They don't see us as equals. To them, we're just another primitive species to be studied or controlled. They don't understand what they've done." "Then we'll make them understand," Porter said firmly. "Jack, you have 1 week to get that drive working. We're not going to sit here and wait for them to come back with a bigger force." Susan looked around at the faces of humanity's last leaders. "What exactly are you suggesting?" Porter's eyes were cold. "They attacked us without warning. They killed our people in their sleep. I'm suggesting we show them that humans aren't as primitive as they think." The council room fell silent again as everyone realized what Porter was proposing. Not just defense, but revenge. "We need to know everything about them," Porter continued. "Their weaknesses, their homeworld, their defenses. It's time to show the galaxy what happens when you wake sleeping humans." The Dreamer was no longer a sleeping colony ship. Over 6 months, Jack Howard and his engineering team had transformed it into something new. They removed hundreds of empty cryopods to make room for weapon systems copied from Krillian technology. The massive engines were rebuilt with the alien faster-than-light drive. Colonel Porter stood on the bridge, now converted into a military command center. "Status report," he ordered. FTL drive at 98% capacity. Jack replied from the engineering station. Weapons systems online. Defense shields holding at maximum power. Susan Miller entered the bridge with Lisa Perez close behind. Both women looked different now. Harder, more focused. The last military training simulations are complete, Susan reported. Everyone knows their battle stations. Porter nodded. The ship had changed, and so had its mission. The name Dreamer had been painted over on the hull. Now it bore a new name. Vengeance. Are we ready? Porter asked, looking around at the bridge crew. Laura Bennett, once a commercial pilot and now the ship's captain, nodded from the helm position. Course is set for the Kryllian homeworld. We can jump to FTL speed on your command. Porter took a deep breath. Begin the countdown. On screens throughout the ship, numbers ticked down from 10. The remaining 4,658 humans, the last of their species, prepared for humanity's first act in this new galactic age. The ship shuddered as the alien drive activated. Stars stretched into lines of light, and then they were gone, moving faster than light itself. The journey that had taken their ancestors a century would now take only 3 days. On the third day, Laura's voice came over the ship's communication system, approaching Kryllian space, exiting FTL in 5 minutes. The Vengeance appeared suddenly in orbit around the Kryllian homeworld. The planet below was beautiful, blue oceans, green landmasses, and glittering cities visible even from space. They've detected us, Jack announced as warning signals appeared on his screen. Their defense stations are powering up. Porter stood tall. Send the message. Lisa Perez had prepared the transmission carefully. It would broadcast on all Kryllian frequencies in their own language. On the planet below, every Kryllian communication device suddenly showed the same image, a human face. Colonel William Porter looked directly into the camera, his expression cold. I am Colonel William Porter of Earth. 6 months ago, your ships attacked our colony vessel while our people slept. You killed 342 innocent humans without provocation. The Kryllian defense stations fired their first shots. Energy beams streaked toward the human ship, but bounced harmlessly off its shields built with the Kryllians' own technology. Porter continued, we were the last of our kind, searching for a new home after our world died. We meant no harm to anyone. On the bridge, Laura reported, their planetary defense grid is fully activated, multiple ships launching. Target their military installations only, Porter ordered. No civilian areas. Jack activated the weapons systems. Beams of energy shot from the Vengeance, striking military bases around the planet with surprising accuracy. The human crew had studied Kryllian maps carefully. They knew exactly where to hit. Porter finished his message. This is our response. We are humanity. We do not forgive. We do not forget. What happens next depends on your leader's choices. The Kryllian ships approached, but they were slow and disorganized. They had not faced real combat in generations. Their society had grown comfortable in peace. Should we engage their ships? Laura asked. Porter shook his head. No. We've made our point. They need time to understand what they're facing. After destroying 37 military installations without a single civilian casualty, the Vengeance activated its FTL drive again and vanished. Behind it, the Kryllian homeworld burned, not in total destruction, but in carefully chosen targets, a surgical strike that sent a clear message. Humans were not helpless, and they had only just begun. The Great Hall of the Galactic Confederation buzzed with worried voices. Representatives from 17 different species sat in tiered seats facing a central speaking platform. Emergency lights pulsed softly, indicating the unusual nature of this gathering. Ambassador Zorn of the Meridian Republic stepped onto the platform. His purple skin glistened under the lights as he raised all 4 of his arms for silence. We face an unprecedented crisis, Zorn announced, his translator converting his whistling speech to the standard Confederation language. The Krellian homeworld was attacked 3 days ago by an unknown vessel. Screens around the hall showed images of burning military bases and destroyed defense stations. The representatives gasped and murmured. The attackers identified themselves as humans from a planet called Earth. Zorn continued. Our records show no such species in our database. From the Volturian section, a small figure with bright green eyes stood up. Ambassador Thiel was known for asking difficult questions. Did these humans attack without cause? Thiel asked. Or did something happen first? Zorn looked uncomfortable. The Krellian representatives claimed they found a primitive colony ship and attempted standard containment procedures. Were first contact protocols followed? Thiel pressed. Was the usual observation period respected? The Krellian ambassador, a tall gray figure, shifted in his seat. He did not respond. Show us the full record, demanded Thiel. Reluctantly, Zorn activated another screen. The footage showed the initial Krellian boarding of the Dreamer, the attack on the sleeping humans, and the desperate defense mounted by the awakened crew. The hall erupted in angry voices. "This is outrageous," shouted the Benari representative, her scaled skin changing colors with emotion. "The Krellians violated our most sacred law, peaceful first contact." While the Confederation argued, 7 Krellian colony worlds received visitors. Human ships, now numbering 23 thanks to captured vessels and shipyards, appeared in their skies. On each world, the same message played: "We are humanity. Your leaders killed our people while we slept. Now we are awake." The human ships destroyed military targets with perfect precision. They captured technology and resources, then vanished again before defense fleets could respond. Back in the Confederation Hall, Ambassador Thiel studied the human transmissions carefully. Unlike others who saw only violence, Thiel noticed patterns. They target only military installations, he noted. No civilian areas. No total destruction. These are not mindless attacks. They are sending a message. Ambassador Zorn scoffed. What message? That they are barbarians. No, Thiel replied thoughtfully. That they are dangerous, but restrained. They could have destroyed entire planets, but chose not to. A messenger rushed into the hall and handed Zorn an urgent message. The purple alien read it, his skin paling to lavender. 7 more Krellian worlds have been attacked, he announced shakily. Military bases destroyed, strategic resources taken. The pattern matches the homeworld attack. The hall fell silent. How many ships do these humans have? Asked the Benari representative. Unknown, admitted Zorn. We can't track them. They appear and disappear without warning. This is why we have protocols. Thiel said angrily. The Krellians found a sleeping species and attacked them without provocation. Now that species is fighting back with unexpected skill. As the debate continued, a new transmission appeared on all Confederation channels. A human woman with short, dark hair looked directly at them. "I am Lisa Perez, Ambassador for Humanity," she said calmly. "We request a formal meeting with the Confederation Council. This conflict can end, but only with justice." The transmission included coordinates for a neutral location and a time, 3 standard days from now. "We should destroy them when they appear," shouted the Krellian ambassador. Thiel stood again. "That approach has worked so poorly so far. Perhaps we should try listening instead." Across Confederation space, governments prepared for war while hoping for peace. The sleeping humans were now fully awake, and the universe had not been prepared for their arrival. The neutral meeting station floated in empty space, exactly halfway between Confederation territory and the region humans now claimed as their own. It was an ancient structure, built by a species long gone from the galaxy, respected by all as neutral ground. Lisa Perez stood at the viewport, watching as the Confederation ships arrived. Behind her, Colonel Porter paced nervously. "Remember the plan," Porter said quietly. "Show strength first, then offer peace." Lisa nodded. In the 2 years since humans had been awakened, she had learned much about galactic politics. They respect power more than words. We need to make them understand what we're capable of. The meeting chamber was a large circular room with a round table at its center. Representatives from all 17 Confederation species took their seats, their diverse bodies requiring different chair designs. Some floated in liquid tanks, others needed special atmospheric containers. Lisa entered alone, dressed in a simple black uniform with a small Earth emblem. She carried no visible weapons, but her confidence made some representatives shift uncomfortably. Ambassador Zorn opened the session. We welcome the human representative to this peace discussion. We hope to end the unfortunate conflict between our peoples. Lisa smiled thinly. This was never a conflict between peoples. This was an unprovoked attack on sleeping refugees, followed by a measured response. The Krillian ambassador clicked angrily. Your measured response destroyed military bases on 8 worlds. Yes, Lisa agreed calmly. Military only. No civilian targets. No planet-wide destruction. We could have done much worse. The room fell silent at her cold honesty. Ambassador Thiel of the Volturians leaned forward, green eyes studying Lisa closely. What does humanity want from this meeting? Lisa activated a small device on her wrist. A holographic display appeared above the table, showing a map of the galaxy. First, recognition, she said. Humanity is now a spacefaring species with rights equal to all Confederation members. She touched another control, and red dots appeared throughout Confederation space. What are these? Asked the Binari representative. Those are human agents, Lisa explained. Former colonists now living among you, some in important positions, some near critical infrastructure. Gasps and angry shouts filled the room. Lisa raised her hand for silence. They are not saboteurs, she clarified. They are insurance, a demonstration that we can reach anywhere in your territory. Ambassador Zorn's purple skin darkened with anger. This is blackmail. This is negotiation, Lisa corrected. Second, we want reparations for our people who were killed. The technical knowledge and resources to establish new colony worlds. And third, Thiel asked, seemingly the only calm person in the room. Justice, Lisa said simply. The Krillian commander who ordered the attack on our ship must face trial for 342 counts of murder. The Krillian ambassador rose from his seat. This is outrageous. Commander Zetlon was following containment protocols. Lisa turned to face him directly. Your protocols killed 342 innocent people who were asleep and defenseless. If you truly believe that was justified, then this meeting is over, and what follows will not be limited to military targets. Her words hung in the air like a physical threat. The representatives looked at each other nervously. Thiel broke the silence. Perhaps we should remember that the humans have shown remarkable restraint so far. Their attacks have been precise and limited, despite their obvious anger. We don't want war, Lisa said, her voice softening slightly. Humanity has lost enough already. We lost our homeworld. We lost generations to sleep. We lost hundreds to your attack. What we want now is respect. She looked around the table. We will defend ourselves without mercy if attacked again. But we would rather find a place in this galaxy where we can rebuild in peace. The Confederation representatives began talking among themselves in low voices. Lisa stood still, waiting. This was the moment that would decide if humanity found a new home among the stars, or if the galaxy would burn. 5 years passed since the day humans first met the Galactic Confederation. On a green hill overlooking the first human city on New Earth, Susan Miller stood watching children play in a park below. Some children had normal human features. Others had scales, extra limbs, or skin in unusual colors. The exchange program brought young ones from different species to learn together. It was Susan's idea, a way to build understanding between former enemies. William Porter, now General of the Human Defense Forces, walked up the hill to join her. His face had new lines, but he stood as straight and proud as ever. "Beautiful day," he said, looking at the clear blue sky. 2 moons hung visible even in daylight. Susan nodded. Hard to believe we were all asleep in pods just a few years ago. After 3 tense days of negotiation, the Earth Accords had been signed. Humanity received 5 habitable planets as their territory. They also got technology and resources as payment for the attack on their ship. In return, humans agreed to share their unique skills with the Confederation. Years of fighting for survival on Earth had made humans experts at adapting and overcoming challenges. The comfortable Confederation species had forgotten these skills during their long peace. "The Volturian ambassador is arriving tomorrow," Porter said. "He wants to discuss expanding the military training program." Susan smiled. Thiel was the first to see us as more than just angry barbarians. He was smart, Porter agreed. He recognized a valuable ally instead of just a threat. In orbit above New Earth, the ship once called Dreamer, then Vengeance, now served as Diplomat, a mobile embassy and training center. Laura Bennett still commanded it, teaching Confederation pilots how to fly with human-style creativity and quick thinking. Jack Howard had become the head of a joint technology team, combining human problem-solving with alien advanced science. Their work had already improved faster than light travel by 30%. In the city below, Lisa Perez prepared for tomorrow's meeting in her office. As Earth's chief ambassador, she had built a reputation for honesty and strength. On her wall hung the signed Earth Accords, the document that gave humanity a place in the galaxy. A young Krillian assistant entered with reports. The Krillians had changed the most after the conflict. Their society, once proud and rigid, now valued flexibility and caution. Commander Zetlon, who ordered the original attack on the sleeping humans, had been publicly tried and punished. His name was now used in training programs as an example of what not to do. "Ambassador," the assistant said, "the school exchange program reports are ready. Applications have increased by 40% this year." Lisa nodded. "Good. Understanding starts with the young." That evening, the human leadership gathered for dinner at Porter's home overlooking the valley. Susan, Lisa, Jack, Laura, and others who had guided humanity through its darkest days now planned for its bright future. "A toast," Porter said, raising his glass. "To those we lost, who sleep forever, and to those who live, who will never sleep defenselessly again." Everyone raised their glasses solemnly. "Was it worth it?" Lisa asked after a moment of silence. "All the fighting, the threats, the fear we caused throughout the galaxy." Porter looked thoughtful. "We didn't start the fight, but we finished it in a way that brought peace." Susan added, "We didn't just survive. We found a way to thrive and help others." Outside, the stars began appearing in the darkening sky. Among them, ships from a dozen species moved in peaceful patterns, many trained by humans, all respecting the new balance of power. The universe had indeed burned. But from those flames came not just destruction but light and warmth. Humanity had taught the stars an important lesson. Some sleeping giants should be left to dream in peace. And if awakened, they might just remake the galaxy in ways no one could have imagined.